Call the meeting to order. Start with a roll call. McKee here, Lanterman here, Friedrich
Present.
Fahrenkamp
Here.
Nichols.
Also here.
Perfect. We'll move on to the pledge. If you'd like to stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty. Go on to agenda approval. We got a couple added items. I believe 6B. Do you have the other add? There's maybe one other added.
There was a couple updates and then the one add.
Okay. And then we have two items on there that are noted as moving to the 11:25 meeting process. I think best to pull those at the time and table them, or remove them now.
Let's remove them.
Okay. So let's remove items 6Q and 6U as noted on the agenda. We'll have those come back up 25th. Any other changes?
I was just going to say there was updates to, I think, 6D and 6P.
6D and P for updates. Perfect. Thank you very much. Any other changes? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. On to presentations, and we have one from BKV.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, really pleased to report that BKV Group has completed the first phase of our space needs assessment, and would invite Michael to come up and share the presentation with us this evening. Well, the whole team, however, I'll leave it to them how they want to deliver the numbers. But if you can bring the slides up here, to the right.
Excuse me, Jay. Do we by chance get a copy of that? I just was. Is it?
Item 6.
So the report you received, the slides you did not.
Got it.
Yeah. So the slides are a summary of the report.
Okay.
But the report in its entirety is as the mayor said.
6.
Just 6 out.
Is there any way in the future I could just get a copy of the presentations? Only because it's hard for me to see the screen. That'd be awesome.
You literally emailed it to me right before it came up.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
So.
What's taking so long?
So, good evening. Thanks for having us again. This will be a little bit of a refresh from what we presented last time we were here, but then we do have some additional information. We have our Public Works planner here as well to answer some of those questions. So, go on to the next slide. So we're going to go through the master planning overview, kind of where we left off, and then we'll talk about next steps and open up for discussion. So, you talk about the Public Works program first.
Right away. Andrew Cooper with Ortel Architects. Pleasure to be here. Last time I was at my daughter's volleyball game, so now no volleyball season is not in. Talking a little bit about the Public Works and the facility assessment. We looked at the overall staffing and vehicle inventory of where Public Works and utilities, both streets and parks, all sit today. Met with staff, talked about critical space needs, prioritization of where functionality is with the current facility, and established what are kind of the space parameters for a good, up-to-date and modern Public Works facility. What you see here is a summary program that looks at what is a current need, so that is a deficiency with the current facility to the current staffing and vehicle and equipment inventory for the city's departments, and then a level of projections for a series of growth factors that were based on immediate priority, some developments in 10 years, and then a full build-out of a 20-year projection. We discussed these needs with staff, with Kevin and Joe and Pat and other staff members to understand what they saw as needs for their facility. To really, this program is really a staff-centered program.
So it's similar to Public Works, we met with staff and developed growth projections for both their current need and out to 20 years for both City Hall and the Police Department. So for our master planning process, we are planning around the 20-year need. And for a combined city hall and police facility, we identified roughly a 86,000 square foot building requirement. And then there's additional cold storage facility for police for some of their equipment, which would be about 2,000 square feet.
Back again on Public Works. For master planning on the Public Works site, we really looked exclusively is what can be done on the existing property. Within the program, we identified a shortage of about 55 to 60,000 square feet within the facility. The current building is somewhere between 24 and 28, depending on how you level the multiple storage levels. And that facility was really designed to be just that size. It's served through well. It is also served through septic system, and those systems were sized for strictly that building size with fire suppression and water demands. So really the expansion of that existing facility is limited if municipal utilities are not likely deliverable to that site within the life of the property. So we really looked at a handful of options, but this particular master plan does realize that there is a potential feasibility that the septic field can be expanded to house and allow additional office and personnel demands, as well as there is a feasible possibility that a second well could be on site to serve a newer facility. Because through fire sprinkler demands and building code requirements, it would be best to keep these buildings separate, so we didn't trigger any kind of additional parameters within the existing building. The current master plan looks at the new facility and new space as just a singular box of space, and how that box of space is divided among the various functions between administrative functions, equipment and vehicle and maintenance, and equipment storage would be a later design stage to really understand how that box can be addressed with the priority of the department's needs. Stormwater feature can be expanded to the east and to the south. The developable land, sorry, I didn't say that right again, for this particular property is really limited by the fact that there is a natural water resource on the very southern property, and there is a shoreland setback that limited how much site could be developed on for the original project as well. And then there are also delineated wetlands on the property, so there's additional setbacks from those features as well. The existing building can remain in totality, and then additional parking area and site support like a larger salt building, more material bins, an enhancement of the fueling station, and other outdoor parking and equipment space could be utilized on the remainder of the site.
Mayor and Council, one of the things that I wanted to emphasize is as we looked at the space needs, the priority effort was City Hall and public safety, and we wanted to include all of our service delivery so we have the data, because data drives decisions. And so if you recall, so fire service is part of this, and based on our last discussions, we've got some more work to do on fire service before we're ready for the fire service building. But we wanted to identify with the subject matter experts that we have, what would be the space that we would need. And it might be that the space doesn't make sense out here. So one of the conversations that we were having, so utility equipment, when the bulk of our utilities are in the east side of town, does it make sense to store them all on the west side of town, both in terms of wear and tear and equipment? So there's still some questions that in this phase 2 we'll be able to dig in, do better analysis in order to provide more information to make better decisions on where, when, and how. But the key part, Public Works wasn't originally part of the scope, and we wanted that to be part of the scope. So as we're looking strategically over the next 20 years, when does it make sense to do what? So, if we're doing a new city center, what of those can we do? As we're doing parks projects, are there potential opportunities? And then if you recall, we have $10 million in water bond, earmarked for water projects. Are there opportunities for us to meet some of these space needs requirements through some of those projects? So this just captures, could we, if we had all of the resources that we need, make it happen on this? For our bare needs right now, we could, but that's why it's not broken up into all of the different boxes, because we wanted to cover the square footage at a macro level, and then in this next phase, dig into, all right, what do we need specifically? When does it make sense for us to pursue that need?
There's one more slide, Jane. Yeah, so this is just a little bit closer in to illustrate what is existing and then what we would be proposing new. So the big yellow box, that conglomeration of multifunctions, whatever it would be determined. And then also the miscellaneous site functions that would help support that facility in the Public Works and Utilities departments.
Good job adding that. We don't want to leave them off, so great job.
So then for the City Hall and Police facility, this is the same master plan you saw previously, but this is kind of one of the two options we looked at and the one we were proposing moving forward as a recommendation. The second option was over at Heritage Park on the north side. This one here is just down the street at the city center. So this site has good access to utilities. It has a great presence within the future development of the city center itself, and also has a nice walkable neighborhood feel to it. So the master plan you're seeing right now includes a two-story facility with City Hall and Police, and there's a lower level that includes a lot of the garage space for police and some of their equipment, storage, support spaces like locker rooms and other storage areas that don't need daylight access. And then we're proposing to have some of the public parking facing the south that could be potentially expanded and connected with any other future development that's south of the parcel shown there. And then on the north side, there is what we're showing, a secure parking lot for staff and for the police operations on the back side of the site. And then on the very north side of the building would be where kind of the garage tucks under to access the lower level, and that naturally kind of follows the topography of the site, which utilizes the hillside there to kind of naturally slope down to the stormwater area as well. We can go to the next slide. And it's just a larger view again. We can go to next. So I wanted to remind you too that we did look at the fire station, and we were looking at this current site where the city hall is for a future fire station. The site does work well through this feasibility study. We determined that it was best positioned on sort of the southern side of the parcel, and that allows for the public access to the site to be up City Center Drive and then still have the apparatus bays with the quick response out onto 116. And this shows right now the opportunity for the fire station to grow to the north. As needs change, you can add additional apparatus bays to store other equipment and response vehicles in that area. Mike, I'll let you talk about the costs if you will. We got Mike Phillips from Crest Anderson. He's going to talk about costs.
Thanks for the introduction. It's great to be back. Let me go ahead and I'll just pull up summary budget. Bear with me here one second. All right, so when I was here last time, we walked through high-level budgets for each of the options, starting with the new city hall and police station, just to give a little bit of additional context on here. So working off of the space programming that you just heard from Mike Healy and from Andrew Cooper at Ortel, and using past project history then at a concept level, which is where we're at currently, we look at space in terms of blocks of space and certain types of space, and based off of again, those similar project history, come up with unit prices that are typical and then provide ranges for that. So what you're seeing here is the midpoint of those results. And again, to that third bullet point that talks about soft costs, we do price the hard construction costs as well as the total project costs, which include soft cost items such as design fees, construction management fees, permits, inspections, utilities, all of those sorts of things. So you're looking at a holistic project budget. So again, for the new city hall in police, that's approximately an 87,000 square foot facility with anticipated site acre impact of roughly 3 to 4 acres. You can look there at the line Construction costs are projected at just north of $40 million, with soft costs being approximately $8 million. Anticipated total project cost in 2025 dollars at 48.5, and then you can see the anticipated escalation, excuse me, below that for 2026 and 2027. Any specific questions or need to dive deeper on costs for City Hall and PD?
I'd like to understand the cost of the parking and vehicle storage areas relative to the rest of the project.
Sure. So I have a PDF up in front of me, but I can grab the Excel if we want to dive deeper in it. At a general level, so the blended cost per square foot across the entire facility, including site costs, is approximately $465 per square foot. Parking ramps, and I'd have to look at this one specifically, but they can range anywhere from approximately $185 up to, say, $230 per square foot, depending upon size and some of the amenities that are included within them.
Would that apply to the public works vehicle storage as well, or would that be different?
That's a little bit different, because it's not simply just the square footage, it's the volume, and typically you have a much higher
Ceiling?
volume or ceiling within the public works than you would a parking garage. Good question. I'll jump to the new fire station and then come back to public works. So as Mike Healy from BKV had alluded to, we looked at a fire station option as well. That did, as you guys may recall, the base fire station was approximately 20,000 square feet, and then there was an alternate for the 2 additional bays, which was approximately an additional 4,000 square feet for a total facility of roughly 24,000 square feet. Anticipated site acres for the fire station is between 2 and 3 acres. So as you can see there, the midpoint range of construction costs, again, based on projects of similar size and scope, just shy of $13 million. Anticipated soft costs associated with that project at just north of $3 million. Puts total project cost in 2025 at just shy of $16 million, and escalated out to 2027 at just north of $17 million.
To reiterate on the fire department, we currently don't have, with our 3 partners that are providing our fire service, none of them at this time are ready to assume so we have a lot more conversation and work to do in order to refine who, what, and when this would happen. But this is important data for us to understand, and all 3 of our partners were involved in developing this.
Thank you for the comment, Jay. And then for public works, and this is going to be a little bit hard, and we're actually, so the updated concept plan that Andrew Cooper had showed you here from Mortel a few minutes ago, we're actually going through an exercise right now to update our pricing on that, but I'll just give you guys a highlight of what I shared before. The 5-year need for public works is approximately 113,000 square feet. Again, that's an assumed site impact of approximately 8 acres. Based on past conversations I know with Kevin and team, it's anticipated that need might end up falling closer to 11 acres in terms of total site impact. Contrast the 113,000 square feet, which is the 5-year need for public works. The full 20-year need for public works is closer to 179,000 square feet in total building area. To that, there's obviously quite a range in cost, as you can imagine. The construction cost number in 2025 for the 5-year option is approximately $34.8 million, and the anticipated 20-year cost in 2025 dollars is $49.9 million. The associated soft costs with that are roughly $6.9 million for the 2025 5-year option, compared to $9.9 million for the 20-year option, inflated out to $2027. The mid-range for the 5-year would be approximately $45.2 million, compared to the $64.8 million for the full build-out of the 20-year plan for public works.
And to reiterate, these are all concept, high-level plans. Phase 2 will be a refinement, working with staff and engaging with the community in order to understand how the community thinks and feels about it, getting their feedback, because there may be things that we didn't consider in terms of services we want to deliver, or things that we're doing that they just don't care about, that we can stop doing or change how we're doing. That will change the scope of each of these projects. and the focus is the city hall and public safety component, and then addressing to the degree that we're able to the public works need.
Thank you.
All right, Paul Michelle, partner with BKV Group. So part of the packet is our proposal for the Phase 2 services. So I would summarize what those are. And really, we're going to start looking at refining, to Jay's point, refining what those needs are relative to what the funding can be achieved for both the City Hall, Police Department, and the Public Works project. So we're going to go through a visioning exercise and then start developing some concepts, which could be, more refined site diagrams, site test fits, conceptual massing, what could the vision of the building be? Not necessarily what a final design is, but as we look towards doing community engagement, you're going to need some materials in order to be able to inform the public what's required and what could they be potentially deciding upon. So validating the City Hall Police Public Works space needs is a first step. Refining what those master planning approaches would be on how you might phase that work to meet various budget thresholds, what those concepts could be, and then really engaging with the community. I think we had a total of 7 community engagement workshops that were part of that in order to work with the public and solicit their feedback. And then, again, we can take that feedback and then refine what the final results of Phase 2 will be. Developing the implementation schedule and the financial plan is kind of the last part of that. Ultimately, through the community engagement, through the education, through the materials, you want to be able to present a picture to the public of what the investment is really going to look like and what they would be getting for that investment. One of the alternate items in our proposal was to engage Community Perceptions, which is a public survey company, and that would really allow us to get more of a granular impact from what the community feels. So those surveys can be hard copy surveys, they can be electronic, they can be both. And that's a conversation to have, is like, how do we want to collect as much information as we can from the public that can then inform our, the Phase 2 planning options. So we can take additional questions on that proposal now. I know was in the agenda for discussion. You might have reviewed it and have some questions about that. But that really is the outline of what the Phase 2 services would be.
Paul, if I could just quick.
Absolutely.
Mayor and Council, the proposal as we talked with the team was casting a vision that over between January and August, we do 6 engagements that are targeted in different areas of the community. So a bellwether engagement, to Hope engagement, to St. Teresa engagement, do one on the Public Works, and try and get people that are in the area so it's accessible and continue to get that feedback. The 7th engagement is at Night to Unite. So we have 6 months of gathering information, refining what we have, and then that Night to Unite evening is when we say, all right, this is what we've heard you say. What do you think about it? As we've taken your feedback and come forward with a concept before we go into our final plans, so that they feel that we've done our due diligence, and then we've had an opportunity to get that feedback that's going to help us refine our data and make the best decisions when it comes time for decisions. So that's the engagement.
Those are the 7.
I asked them about the survey to include that, and we discussed different ways to do the survey, because our diverse community provides feedback in lots of different ways, and we haven't had online survey, we haven't had great participation, but we're going to have 6 engagement opportunities. So it might be a really good opportunity when we get people in the room to fill something out, or there's other ways that we can do that. But as many different ways as we can get engagement and feedback from a survey is what I was asking for, because this is an important thing strategically for the long term of the community.
We're growing up.
We've outgrown our britches.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Any questions?
Are we looking at any other opportunities beyond this new campus we've talked about and the fire station in this building, are there other things that are worth building into those next study phases that could offer additional phasing opportunities, or sort of building in certain locations? Could we be leasing space in one of those new industrial suites being built up on 101? Or are we more constricted in our scope at this point based on the first phase?
So any constraints that are in the scope came as a result of the process. So if you're, one of the things that I thought was pretty neat about this process, I was meeting with a property owner that we had spoken with, and he said, "How are you thinking about this now? I didn't see how it would work on my property then, and I really like your plan now." And so I think that, and that was about a year ago, that was a helpful catalyst to get us to look at different options. And so through the process, in dialogue with you and with people in the community and with staff, we kind of ended up over here. And then as we sat down with experts in the field, as they've built hundreds of facilities like what we're asking them to do across the US, they have kind of validated some of the things that we've learned in the process. But to your point, I think we're still learning. And so as we go through these engagement opportunities, it's highly likely that we're going to get information that we had not considered that is going to help us adjust our plan so that it better reflects our need. When you talk about projecting forward to potentially lease space, I think Melisha can testify that was a plan in the city that she recently worked in. They got rid of their city hall, and now they're about to lose, I just talked to their city administrator, they're about to lose their leased space. So they went into a leased opportunity, and then the leasee has said, or the leaseor has said, "Hey, I have a better opportunity, you all need to find someplace else." We don't have anywhere else in the city if we don't build it, except some of the things that are coming online. And if they don't come online when we need them to come online, or in the way, we've got a bit of a pickle. Or if they should find a better opportunity than what the city can offer them, we're in a bit of a pickle. So I think those are good things to consider, but I also don't think that Corcoran residents would want to go to Arbor Lakes to get their services from Corcoran.
Safe bet. I think there'll be other things too that we'll need to evaluate, like, you know, when we're moving out of this building, what the gap between potentially a fire station here and now, what do we do with this space? There'll be different options that we can evaluate.
The timing might be off, but I met with our county commissioner last week, and he shared with me a new pivot. They would like to have a library in Corcoran in the next 10 years. That was a brand new, I'd never heard that before. And he said, "Do you have any idea where we could go temporarily until we could build one?" And I went, funny enough, I do have an idea.
They could go to google.com.
Upstairs in my barn's open.
There you go.
There's a back room at the stanchion.
Yeah, that too. There's all kinds of opportunity.
Any other questions? Isn't that? Thank you guys.
Great job. Lot to do.
Yeah. So, okay. We'll go on to open forum. If anyone would like to speak tonight on a non-agenda item, you can have you come on up to the mic. I think people are just leaving, so.
If there's nothing, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I'll speak on behalf of a neighborhood real quick.
Sure.
Named Dean Varenkamp, 9310 Beckfold Road. The folks over off of Heather Lane and Meadowview Drive wanted me to convey the thanks to everything we've done on that development at the end of Heather Lane. That has turned out nice, it's great, all is good. They're concerned about the intersection of Meadowview Drive and Heather Lane. On the southwestern corner of that property, there is a tree that is blocking sightline. It looks like it's in the easement. Wondering if that could get trimmed or a stop sign put in traveling north on Heather to Oakdale. Public Works could take a look at that intersection. One or the other. They had a great suggestion, either trim the tree up so they can see. Right now they have to pull out quite a ways, and then as you all know, everything south on Tether, it's going to start up, and a stop sign may or may not be the right decision. But if Public Works could look at that, that neighborhood would be much obliged. So thanks. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we will move on to consent agenda, which consists of items 6A through 6P, and then 6R, S, T, and V. Does anyone want to pull anything?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I got a full G.
Okay.
All Seasons American Service Animals.
Don't know why, but okay.
I also would like to talk about I
Okay.
and the conversation about P.
I and P. Okay, so G, I, and P. Anyone else? Anything else? No? Okay, then this will be fun. I will entertain a motion to approve consent agenda items A through F, H, J through O, R through T, and V.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and we'll go alphabetically, so we'll start at 6G. Dean,
Yep, the only reason I wrote down here, pull from the agenda if Maureen and team show up. Marine team and everybody is here. So that's all I wanted to do. What a bunch of well-behaved people and dogs. These are truly amazing animals. Many in training. One looks like bored to death and get me the heck out of here. So they've done very, very well sitting here for a half hour. And that's all I wanted to do is thank Maureen and the team for what you do for helping these service dogs become what they're supposed to be. So that was all I had to say. I do have more treats if you're out. If anybody's interested in milk bones, I do have some up here. So this is a neat part of our community. And as I asked Maureen, I know building permits and everything. I hope that's getting close and stuff. I see Dwight in the back corner there. So I hope things start up pretty quick for you. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You guys might have a little side business too when a big company comes in and pitches a $50 million facility to have 6 service dogs here. It brings down the temperature a little bit. All right, well, I will entertain a motion then to approve consent agenda item 6G.
So moved. Second.
There we go. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Perfect. On to 6I. Dean, did you want to take that one?
Is anyone here from that?
Don't believe so.
Nobody's here. Okay.
Did you have any questions though?
I'm trying to be, well, wait a minute. You guys want to get out of here, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, picture?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were wanting a picture.
we can do that.
Forget all about that.
Sure. Do you want us?
Wherever you want to be. So call me and get you.
Sorry, folks, it'll only be a minute. That would work if we sit here and you guys are there. Can somebody get a pic? Thank you guys for your patience.
Mayor, do you want to come over here and be in the middle? Sure.
Everybody ready? 1, 2.
Let's get one.
Is that for us or the dog?
Yeah.
Okay, 1. And there's more. That's awesome. I get
Great job, you guys. Thank you, everybody,
Thank you.
for allowing us to do that.
Everybody have
your eyes open.
I tilted my head a little bit because I was curious.
If you could, whoever's phones this work, you could send us,
very much.
I'd love to get a copy of that. Thank you. Thanks for coming, guys.
Maureen Leslie's loving doing Rue as the service dog up at middle school and high school now too, so she's really involved. Doing great.
Have a
Thank you
good night,
guys so
guys.
much. Thank you, everybody, very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Of course, thank you.
Since we were there, just want to make sure, there's been some things going on, changes, all of those things. Are we set now? They're gonna ask for building permits instead of starting before? Do they understand our ordinances and processes? That corner has been a little contentious for a while.
I think they're on the right track with my read of it, that they've started to.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, council members, we did, as staff, meet with the property owner in early October, late September, and talked.
Everybody's all right.
Jumped a mile.
Just say goodbye.
Excuse me. We did talk to them because they had not executed the conditions of the conditional use
Right.
permit. They have, since that meeting, they had agreed to do a number of things by October 31st. While not all of those things they agreed to do are done, they have made substantial progress in the last month. You will note that in the condition for the approval, we did put a July 1st deadline. If that deadline is not met, we would be in front of you to talk about options. But we really do feel like they have made progress in the last month, and we're optimistic that that will continue.
So then the other question I had, if I may, Mr. Mayor, it was originally came to us as a dumpster roll-off company, whatever, and now it's outside construction storage, all of those things. What is it gonna be?
Well, that, Mr. Mayor, council members, the outside storage for the construction business, the excavating business, was always part of it. The
Okay.
reason it's in front of you tonight is they were originally intending to go in, there was a home there that they were converting to an
Right.
office. And now that they've been operating on site, they are looking at the building, and in your packet you have a building
Not big
plan. So they're gonna expand that building and make some improvements, and that's why they're in front of you, and I think they're motivated now. They have received, as I understand it, a loan and have the wherewithal to make these improvements. So if the council approves this tonight, they would be able, the city would be able to issue a building permit, and they could begin work on that, and then, as we agreed, they would wrap things up in the spring.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. With that, Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve.
Perfect. Do we have a second?
Second.
Alrighty, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That is 6I, and then 6P.
Not questioning anything, but what are we gonna do to make sure any other development that comes in front of us isn't gonna have all of these things, checklists, all signed off that have been open for so long? Is there anything we can do as a city to not have these things go like that? I mean, from second edition, which started 7 years ago, 8 years ago, to
11 years ago.
11 years ago, to 15th edition, does that company know and understand that we are not going to stand for that anymore? I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yes, they know that, and
Okay.
in terms of your first question, we've actually started in the last 2 years to initiate more of a closeout process.
Okay,
To some degree, that extension was on us in terms of not pursuing the contract as staff.
I think initially we thought it would be more of a motivating factor for the developers that they'd want
Yeah.
to close out, get escrow back.
It was staffing issues, it was
Yep.
rate and all that stuff, so we didn't use the contract leverage that we are, that we are using now. We're
Okay.
using that in all developments, so for instance, Tavera, which is the same developer, they are very close on some of their early additions to getting accepted. So they, in the last 18 months to 24 months, have been active in trying to close these out. So I almost have to, in line with them, we've become active in closing it out. So
Okay.
to be fair, some of it was on us, some of it was on them. But they are super close, and then this is 10 of the 15. The remaining 5, 4 of those 5 are down to 1 or 2 items.
Okay.
So I anticipate more even coming in the next month, possibly. I think 1 will carry through the winter for sure. That was related really to the conversation a couple meetings ago, or last meeting, with the shade structure and stuff. So escrows reconciled, a lot of effort went into looking back. We don't want to do that again. They don't want to do that again.
Okay.
Hopefully it's an issue in the past.
All right, thank you. With that, motion to approve 6P.
Do we have a second? I will second it. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Did you say it? Did you say anything?
I said aye.
Oh, sorry, missed it.
I'll be louder next time.
I'm bad at that. Sometimes I have to try to see all of you guys talk.
We need lights.
Not these
No.
ones, those are too bright.
Can't afford
It'll
it.
give me a
You
headache.
could go really old school, like Roman days.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Alrighty, and on to planning, which we have one item, 7A. I believe that was everything I just said, right? Which is the sketch plan review for site at 23580 State Highway 55.
Talk amongst yourselves for a second. Kendra, your presentations always mess with my presentation. So, yeah, right?
What does it do?
Yeah, my computer just freezes. I did, and it's not showing up. It's not showing up. Here, wanna try it?
Yeah.
Green? Yeah, it's not.
How much was the IT budget increase?
For 2026.
Yeah, it is for 2026.
Do we really want to stick it into this place, or save that for later? Keep dealing with these IT issues.
Next time we'll go dry erase boards.
There you go. I got some clear acrylic laying around, we can use them.
Just a minute.
You do.
Whole bunch of scrap.
I'm waiting for it to turn green.
Teamwork. Good job.
It's not up there. You'll see it there.
Okay, you let me know if it's a problem.
No, we see a green trees.
No?
Yes. Oh, it's paused for a second.
All right, got it.
There we go.
Game on.
Good job, Natalie.
All right. This is a sketch plan for the Lano equipment site on Highway 55 and County Road 19. This is an exhibit from the applicant. I think you're all very familiar with the site. The existing business would be redeveloped, and we have some more slides that show that. And as part of it, this slide I think is a good one because it does show the property to the north, and they would acquire a portion of that property. So they would plat that property with the 2 properties that they own and create a new parcel for Lano and Spikes down the south. Next slide. That blue circle is showing the 60 feet that they would acquire from the property to the north, resulting in a 11.8 acre site when they're done. So the new building is in the southeast corner. It's a 5,500 square foot building. And then in the center of the site, there's an existing 6,600 square foot storage building that was approved in 2013. And around that is about 4 acres of fenced outside storage. There's parking on the southwest corner. That pond-looking thing is the septic system. There's another septic system on the north near the stormwater pond. And then in the corner of the site at 19 and 55, there's some additional parking up against the building and then a display area. And we'll talk about each of these individually through this report. So the business is a legal non-conforming use. Businesses similar to this have operated on the site for decades, and when Lano purchased the property in 2005, they came to the city and got a letter acknowledging the legal nonconformity of the use and some of the constraints that existed, and he had a conversation with Brad Lano and his attorney about what those constraints were. In 2012, there was a site plan approval from the city for a loading dock expansion north of the building. And then in 2013, the accessory building was approved, and that was approved in part to reduce some of the nonconformities because building that building, they said, would allow them to move some of the things that were outside into that building. And that building will remain with this new redevelopment proposal. So the two other buildings on the north side of the site and sort of south of the storage building would be removed. Next slide. The property is zoned C2. C2 is intended to provide for a variety of retail businesses. Retail sales are permitted, which is what is happening at the Spike's Pool business. But equipment sales, repair, and outside storage are not allowed, which is what's happening at the Lano business. So it's allowed to continue in the way it was in 2005, and again then modified in 2013, but could not expand. And so those uses would be allowed in the light industrial district. So in the staff report, I talked a little bit about sort of the unique mix of uses, and there's a couple ways to deal with that. The applicant could move forward with a zoning text amendment to create a new zoning district or modify the C2 district to allow outside storage and equipment sales and repair. That doesn't feel like the right fit for a retail site. So I actually can't think of where I've ever actually recommended this, but perhaps a PUD in this case might be a better solution than creating a unique zoning district, because at the end of the day, that's what a PUD is, it's a unique zoning district. Next slide. So the concept plan would house both businesses in a single building, similar to as it is today, but does allow them to expand and modernize their businesses. The building setbacks could be met if they pursue the landscape flexibility allowed in our ordinance, which allows you to reduce that building setback from 100 feet to 60 feet with the addition of landscaping. Right now, it looks like they're at about 70 feet. It's concept plan, so there weren't any dimensions on there. I note that with that, some additional landscaping is very prescriptive in the code. The building concept is included in your packet. I wanted to highlight the fact that buildings are limited to a maximum of 20% steel, fiberglass, or aluminum. The plans feature insulated metal panels, and that's something you've seen in a couple of other PUDs. I think this is one where it warrants some feedback from the council about whether that would be supported, and I have some imagery on the future slide. So if you go, this is the site plan again. Yep. And then this is some imagery that's in your packet. So much of the building is a flat metal insulated panel. It's kind of a modern-ish construction method. There are some ribbed panels shown on these concepts, and again, these are not final drawings by any means, and the applicant could maybe provide more feedback. The next slide is not in your packet, but provides some information, and some of you may have looked at this about what it is, but it really is a metal face, and then it's got an insulated material. So I think in terms of when you compare it to maybe a typical agricultural building, metal siding, this is a little bit different than that. This is the ribbed panel that I'm showing. They also had some flat panels, and the applicants are here to maybe talk more to that. But I think that's an important element because that does not technically comply with our code today. Parking, the applicant's plan provides 210 stalls, where 206 appear to be required, again, concept plan level, so there's a lot of finessing that would need to be done. But the code requires that all parking and sales display lots must be asphalt or concrete with concrete curb. I just mentioned that that's an improvement from what there is today. As you probably know, that's gravel today. The parking and display areas do not meet the setback requirements along either 19 or Highway 5, and in fact, the display areas appear to be on or in the right-of-way. And so our code allows the applicant to reduce the 100-foot setback to 25 feet from the property line, but does require, again, that same additional landscaping that you're familiar with for the reduced setback. What maybe is a little bit different for this business than some other businesses in town is that display area is a critical part of their sales business, and so the council should discuss any potential for PUD flexibility if they go that route regarding those landscape requirements, which are fairly significant in order to get that reduced setback. But when you look at the 11, 12-acre site, it does seem very feasible to shift that building to the northwest 25 feet to comply with those setbacks. So council should weigh in on those setback
That
requirements.
would allow it to fit within the reduced
25-foot parking and display
Gotcha.
area
Yep.
setback.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Because again, the display is really at the property line,
Mhm.
so if we move that to meet the 25-foot setback. Access to the site, public safety has noted that they have some concerns and just need more information about that storage area. They need to be able to ensure that there are clear drive aisles for public safety. 4 areas of outside storage is pretty significant, and should there be an emergency, they need to be able to get in and turn around in there. So we'd need some details about how that would be set up if this were to go forward. In your packet, we got some informal comments from Hennepin County, and they really generally don't need anything. The right-of-way is adequate, they said, and the existing access is acceptable. We did send plans to MnDOT, not required at the concept level, but we know there's a lot going on in this corridor. And so plans do show removal of the eastern Highway 55 access and retention of the 2 western access points. And I would just note that plans are subject to review and approval by MnDOT. We haven't done a lot on Highway 55 as a council, but we did talk about this with Pioneer Trail, and I would just say that while MnDOT can't require dedication of right-of-way as part of a flatter subdivision, we do want to plan for that. So we really want to think about what setbacks we're requiring. So if MnDOT were to say, we're going to be planning for Highway 55 improvements that would require 50 feet of additional right-of-way, we certainly don't want to be in position where the applicant makes improvements on the site and in a short period of time, MnDOT has to come in and remove those, right? So the Highway 55 Coalition has a study underway, and that is separate from MnDOT. I know the mayor's been involved in that. But they have funding for a study, and we would really encourage the applicant to work with them, and we would continue as staff to work with them should the project move forward. As part of any project moving forward, as our standard practice, the engineering team would conduct a feasibility study. And while that wouldn't necessarily flesh out all of the MnDOT issues, it would address other transportation and infrastructure issues that need to be considered. I don't know what happened there. Landscaping is an important part. The landscaping is really not a part of what they submitted. They submitted a landscape plan that did not come close to complying. But certainly on 11, 12 acres, there's plenty of room to meet the ordinance requirements. As I said, outside storage not permitted in C2. The retail sales is not. I just mentioned that this was in the packet, that the outside storage has expanded dramatically from what was approved by the city in 2013. So this is an opportunity to once again try to bring the site more into compliance with the regulations, whether that be a new zoning ordinance or a PUD. The site is in the MUSA, the Metropolitan Service boundary, but this is our wastewater study area. And as you may recall, the southwest part of the city, we had plans since for more than 20 years to provide sewer and water to this area. And things have changed, and the Metropolitan Council is studying this area. We had hoped we would have results of the study before we kicked off the next comp plan round, and we're still discussing that with them. But as a result, sewer and water is not yet available, so a variance or PUD flexibility would be required. We've done that for other businesses in this district. The plans do show a preliminary and a secondary septic site. As a reminder, as part of a preliminary plat submittal, the applicant would need to get preliminary approval of those sites from Hennepin County so that we can ensure that those sites are sized right and in locations that will in fact meet code requirements. And again, as part of any plat, wetland delineation is required, wetland buffers and setbacks would need to be provided. It appears that those are really on the north property line for this site where they're acquiring property from the adjacent landowner to the north. Their plans indicate that there's some sort of an easement on that 60-foot piece. We don't see a record of what that is, so we're looking forward to working with the applicant and determining is that a private or a public easement. If it's a public easement, it would need to be vacated as part of this project. We don't, at first glance, we don't see a reason for that to be a public right-of-way, so we just need to determine what that is with the applicant. And I think the reason that is part of this project is over time, if you look at the aerials, you can see that the project has crept into that area, and so this, again, formalizes things and allows them to bring the site into compliance with setbacks. Next slide. And again, just talked a lot, that this is the concept plan that they've submitted. They're here tonight to get feedback on the concept plan. Next slide. This is a legal non-conforming use. The outside storage does not have those protections because it's expanded beyond what was permitted when they moved into the site. But redevelopment provides an opportunity to bring the site into compliance. And there's a couple ways to do that. I think the staff's recommendation is that the most clean way to do that is through a PUD, which would mean step one would be to hold a neighborhood meeting on the PUD. Step two would be then to rezone to PUD with a preliminary development plan and plat. And then step three would be the final plat, final PUD, and easement vacation. Again, there is an alternative where they could ask for a zoning ordinance amendment and address the mix of uses that way, which would eliminate the need for the PUD, but I don't know that that's a cleaner path. Council may wish to provide feedback. I know we're not big fans of planned unit developments, but there's some challenges on this site, so worth some feedback on that, as well as a couple of other things I specifically highlighted, and as always, other things that you wish to provide feedback on. The applicant's representative is here with, I think, the property owners, so if you have questions, I think they'd be happy to answer those.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Kendra first?
Mr. Mayor, while I appreciate this business very, 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 very much, I think I'm an investor, 210 parking stalls is proposed. They need 206. What are we parking there?
Well, I think that we need to, when we had the breakdown in the staff report, I think that's something that we certainly need to look at as we work through more of what's happening. I think they could talk about sort of some of their display, if some of the parking stalls they're proposing were intended to be parking for customers and employees, or maybe more display area.
That's my question, is parking for customers or displays and such, and I'll never have an issue with displaying Bobcats, tractors, all of the appliances associated with it, so.
Again, at the concept plan, we have a lot of information, but the retail components that they're shown requires 82 parking spaces under our code.
Okay.
The office space requires 81. I don't know they have anywhere near 81 employees, so there's a lot of things that would get worked through.
I'm very, very familiar with all of the Llano buildings throughout the metro area and stuff, so my question is, if this happens, I assume the building will be built before the next one's torn down, if we can talk that far out.
Yeah, I think that's a great conversation with the applicant, but that would be my expectation. I don't imagine they want to shut down for the time that it will take to construct, but they're here tonight to answer those kinds of questions.
That's all I say. Thanks.
No other questions? If you guys would like to come on up? Maybe if you want to start with that question, if you have any feedback on that.
Yeah, if I may, again, my backyard, love Llano. Horse feed, dog feed, pig, everything I get is from pools, so, or spikes. So great place, great opportunity to make what you're hoping to make. So I'm in support. I'm one of 5 people up here, but why so many parking spots?
So, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Jennifer Haskamp. I'm the owner of Swanson Haskamp Consulting. I am an urban planner, and I am assisting Llano with our application process and kicked off using the sketch plan to get your feedback before we put all of our formal plans together. So, to your question, with respect to the parking, the idea was twofold. One would be that obviously we need to meet your parking ratio that Kendra was identifying per your ordinance, and that some of those parking spaces could do double duty with display for some of their products. So to your point, it's highly unlikely that there's 210 people that need to park there, either between employees and the retail patrons. So it really is about also having some solid surface display space for their products as well. Marrying onto that, just to kind of address sort of the storage component of it that was brought up in the staff report. We actually at our firm went back to 2013, I believe, when that conditional use permit was approved, and calculated what the outdoor storage area, what I would say the unimproved area was. And we made an attempt to really get as close as possible to confine it to what that area was, which was approximately 4 acres. So the idea was we were actually trying not to expand that outdoor storage gravel area. In fact, what we were doing is trying to shift it so it was behind the new improvements. So what you would see on Highway 55 and from the county road is a vast improvement from what you're seeing today. So you see that nice building frontage, paved parking spots, a paved display area, et cetera. And then we've shifted that outdoor storage component, if you will, to be behind those improvements. We made a very concerted effort, though, to try to keep it to what that area was in 2013. Obviously, it's based on area. I can make no assurance to you that it's 100% every square footage for square foot, but that was our goal, to try to be as close as possible.
If I may, the security of this, all of the equipment, everything that's out there, there's got to be some costs related to theft, those kind of things, and to take it to this level would be, in my opinion, a great addition to the business and to our community. But again, I love how nice and straight everything is right now, and it's easy to go back there and look at everything during open hours, but my truck gets dirty sometimes in the mud, but that's a whole nother conversation. A great place. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Is there anything else specifically you wanted to go over?
Yeah, actually, if we could address just a couple of the items that were in the staff report, just to give you a little bit of background. So again, I touched on sort of how we thought about the site plan and orientation to try to get the building to actually have a little bit more frontage and really make that sort of this, hugging the corner, giving a sense of presence. The other piece of that, though, which was touched on, is the right-of-way or the easement area. So our surveyor obviously did do the survey so that we have exact, precise lines of what's out there. We also did got a sense of what the easement areas that both the state and the county would be looking for in terms of the right-of-way. When we met with staff a couple months ago, we actually talked about doing a lot combination instead of a plat. And so when you look at this was drawn based on that conversation, which was to do a combination as opposed to a plat. So using more of your minor subdivision process, for lack of a better way of saying it, with the intent that obviously, and it's not showing up exactly quite right here, just from how it's getting displayed, but We said that easement area, we understood would be obviously a right-of-way easement, but the fee title of that land wouldn't necessarily be dedicated if we were doing a lot combination. And so the intent of actually putting the display around that edge was it's in the easement area, but it's not actually in a public right-of-way because we weren't dedicating it. We understand we need to work that process through with the staff in terms of exactly what that looks like, but at the time, we had talked about doing combination, which is sort of how we ended up with the setback and the location that we had identified. So just for clarification, there's no direct intent at all to put anything in the right-of-way. The intent is certainly for everything to be set back outside of any right-of-way. So just to clarify that, again, I talked a little bit about how we count the outdoor storage. I agree that I think actually the PUD process is likely the cleanest. There are a lot of situations or existing conditions out here that some fall into what I would coin as legally non-conforming rights, the others being, what does constitute expansion, et cetera. So I agree with staff that I think PUD could actually be a really great path forward for the applicant. In terms of the septic, just to clarify, we're looking at actually two potential septic locations. So those two areas are identified. Both of those areas would have adequate space for a primary and a secondary. So the location has not been specifically identified that I'm aware of. Looking at, no. But we've got two areas essentially that are untouched and could be viable solutions for the septic. So of course that would be ironed out as we go through this process. But it's not that we would have septic in both locations. It is that one or the other would be picked with the primary and the secondary drain field. I think that covers everything that I caught in your staff report. No, Lano is extremely excited about the project, so hopefully the city is as well, because I know they're hoping, and I know the contractor is here as well, that hopefully we can maybe get this underway next spring. So happy to answer any other questions.
One more question. I was trying to get to the property tax map. The very corner of 19 and 55. Who owns that? What is that for?
You mean that little exception parcel?
Just that little parcel in the
Yep,
corner.
so Lano already owns that, and actually,
Okay.
you're jogging my memory about the 60-foot easement as well along the northern property line. That is a private easement that was agreed to between the two property owners. It is not to benefit the public. I do believe it actually is recorded. I think we've received it from our title company, so I'm happy to share that with staff. That easement area, though, would need to be addressed in some manner, whether it is through that lot combination or whether it's through a planning process. But there is an agreement that already exists between the two property owners for it.
Gotcha. Is the map down for you too, Dean?
Yep, I can't get it, but
I was
I
looking at
believe
it
it.
earlier, it just went down.
They like to maintain it during our council meetings.
Do they? We use it too much.
Is it really? Like that, like that.
Sure. I want to say it's extremely refreshing to see a commercial industrial plan that does not impact a residential parcel. And for me, that really reduces my level of concern. I feel like this is a major step forward for that part of the city. I like the overall look of what you're planning to do. I kind of like to see what those panels look like in person. I know Kendra mentioned that's something that's not currently allowed. I kind of have a sense in my head of what we intend for things to look like, and from the images I'm seeing, it looks similar to that, but I'd like to just get a better sense of, like with a sample, if you could bring that
Yeah.
at some point.
Possible.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we would be happy to. It's, as a planner who actually sits on the other side, oftentimes, you don't oftentimes get to see what new products are, and I will tell you that the IMP is really cool. It can have a lot of different finishes. It can have a whole range of quality to it as well. There are certainly sort of the lower end, which looks more like a traditional pole barn, but then there's IMP that goes all the way up to looking like engineered wood, for example. So what I think is really cool about it is also the fact that it's got really great R values, and so from a sustainability perspective, it's a great building, especially for this type of structure from an energy perspective. So there's a lot of opportunity with it and options of how to use it, and I know we would be happy to bring in some samples so you could take a look at it.
That'd be great.
Wonderful. That's really nice. Last bit from me, when I think about where else we have C2, I wouldn't want to see outdoor storage in those locations. So I think the PUD is probably the best mechanism. I wouldn't support modifying C2.
Great.
But I think for a PUD, this would make sense. I think you can get there.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The concerns that we've had in the past over some PUDs and the usage doesn't really trigger this proposal for me. So I think that PUD route would be a good way to go. In terms of some of the other things, like the shifting 25 feet would probably be a good thing to look at to get those setbacks. And I think Kendra made a good point of making sure that we're planning accordingly with, I know the Highway 55 Coalition is hopeful that they will get funding this next legislative session so that they can go forward with a project the year after that or something. So, and I'm happy to you guys in touch with people at the coalition if you haven't been. I'm part of that, and they have a meeting actually in a couple weeks, so happy to connect you guys there. And then other items, I'm trying to think.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Could I just make one comment about the 25 feet? So as it stands right now, the only thing that is in that sort of 25-foot piece is actually the display area, which is, so in terms of shifting the building 25 feet, first of all, I think the building is actually, there is a scale on here, and from the way it looks, it is at about probably 80 feet. So I just want to note the fact that to shift the whole building 25 feet could be problematic because the question did come up of keeping the existing building there while the new one is constructed, and it does get quite tight. So we're very open to working with staff of how this all plays out, but in terms of establishing a number, it's just that display area that's in that sort of, provided we meet the landscaping, I understand, because we're looking for flexibility from that. But where that building aligns does matter in terms of being able to keep the other building in place while we construct.
Gotcha.
I think feedback on that is valuable. I mean, that display area is at the right-of-way line according to the plan set. So it's not meeting the setback. Whether the other things move or not, it'd be helpful. I think one of the things I had asked is if we do have a reduced setback, and again, it's not meeting the 100-foot setback, so they do need to have that flexibility, which requires significant landscaping. One, would the council support anything less than 25 feet in that right-of-way zone, especially considering the need for MnDOT to potentially acquire additional right-of-way in the future? And two, would council support any flexibility in the landscape requirements? I know it's hard without seeing what it is, but we require, like 10 trees every 100 feet with that reduced setback. It's fairly significant. And so if the display area on the corner is important to them, which I believe I'm hearing is, some feedback about that might be helpful as they go back and sort of redesign the site.
I think there's a provision in code that allows us to take tree and landscape dedication at alternate sites if there's not room in a particular parcel for it. Would that apply in this case?
Well, it wouldn't. It would for the rest of the site. The reduced setback is very specific and very prescriptive. That requires one overstory deciduous tree, one overstory conifer, 2 ornamental trees, and 10 understory shrubs for every 100 feet along the length of the property line where the flexibility is requested. So there's no built-in flexibility there. For the rest of the site, where they're also going to have a hard time meeting code requirements for landscaping if they keep 4 acres of outside storage, there is that flexibility that would apply to the remainder of the site.
So within a PUD, would we have the flexibility
Yes.
to negotiate that
Yes.
for off-site location? We put it in a park, something
Yes.
like that.
Yes, and that's why I asked the question. If it's a PUD, you have a lot of flexibility, and I think it's probably important for them to understand how much are you going to let them encroach into the setback, if any, and how important is landscaping along these 2 major roadways for council?
I mean, we've got a number of park projects we're planning over the next 5 years. Maybe that's an opportunity for us to have a win-win.
Potentially. Yeah, I think I'd be open to some flexibility there, especially given kind of the nature of the business is to have I feel like that display area is pretty important to the operation of the business. So I think it would make sense, and also I'm less concerned because it doesn't have the impact around residential that we've seen with other sites. Michelle, did you have some?
I was just going to agree with that. I think
Okay.
that's a good point, is why would we want to put more landscaping there when it's on two main roads?
Right. Yeah, I think we'd be open to some flexibility. I would want to make sure, my only concern really is the, making sure that we don't run into a situation where we don't have the right, or MnDOT doesn't have the right of way and has to come back when 55 gets redone. I don't know that 19 is imminently seeing anything.
No, I don't think Hennepin County says they will not require more right-of-way, but is the council comfortable with improvements at the property line? Because we would typically have a 10-foot drainage and utility easement. We don't typically want stuff in that. I mean, it's really pushing up against it. It is the existing condition today, though. So that's why I asked the question, is sort of, they've drawn what they've drawn, and if the council wants to see something different, now's a great time to provide that feedback, given the opportunity tonight.
To me, I think there's middle ground. I mean, we might not want it exactly on that property line, but I think we're open, or I'm at least open to less than the 25 feet. Obviously, it would depend on seeing additional revisions to the plan and more detail to the plan, but I think generally we're open to that.
Mr. Mayor, just another thought, and I usually get in trouble when I compare to other properties, so might as well just keep the thing going here. International up on 101, the setback on that building, everything else, does anybody remember how far that is? Because I still question, is the landscape complete and stuff on the International building up north of Mama G's?
That did comply. They did not get any variances, so I would guess the parking is at 25 feet. I can double check quick here.
And again, on that building, there's parking facing the road. There's nothing here facing the road. Everything faces the building.
Well, again, their parking was intended to be display area very similar to this, because that's what they do as well.
Yeah,
So
but
when
it's turned into
it's a little bit of both.
storage and all kinds of stuff related to repairs and those kind of things. It is, something just isn't right about the International, but it's kind of like that, but this is, in my mind, with the sketch drawings and everything I've seen, is going to look a lot. It's going to be a lot more appealing to me and obviously the commercial business that's operating there now, so thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
And again, the material, Jeremy would love to see samples and stuff. I've seen it, and the options are endless on this, and looks a lot better than concrete tip-ups, so it's cool.
So one point of clarification, the display area is the rectangle area. The rest is actually intended to be parking for retail that would come up. So just as one clarification, that's not really intended to be the display area of those parking spots that are abutting the business. It's really that strip, because that's where it is today. So and that was the intent. But also I can say that I think, unless they start throwing things at me from the audience, that we probably certainly want to verify with the state and Highway 55 what the plan are, because we certainly wouldn't want to put a bunch of improvements in only to have them taken later. So I think that conversation should happen sooner than later before we prepare all of our civil drawings, because that certainly would be throwing good money at bad. So we certainly will verify that before we make any plans.
And I can confirm that Nelson's display area is 50 feet from the right of way.
Okay, thanks. Makes sense. I think, yeah, we'd be certainly open to, as long as it, like you said, be verified with MnDOT and 55 Coalition, and it sounds like the county doesn't have any issues with it for once. So, as long as that's not an issue, I think we'd be open to flexibility there.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And I think Kendra said it best, this is a PUD application.
Yes.
Compared to some of the stuff we've gotten, so
Yeah,
great work.
PUD is definitely the route to go on it.
Yes.
Pretty
Perfect.
exciting.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how how it comes out.
For sure.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. No unfinished business, so we'll go on to new business. We have 2 items. The first one is 9A, which is Elm Creek Watershed Alternate Commissioner Appointment. And Dean and I interviewed 4. We had 4 really good candidates.
Really good candidates.
Yeah, which is great considering that, we had a commissioner on there for, how long was it, Ken? A couple decades. Yeah, a long time, and so it's not really something that we had a bench for, and now to have that level of interest, I think is huge. Dean, did you have anything you wanted to?
I don't. It was great to talk to all 4 candidates, so our recommendations are there.
For sure, yeah. So I think we were going to recommend appointing, and I don't know if we need to decide the alternate commissioner order now necessarily.
Our plan is if you selected 1 or 2, we would bring like a resolution at the next meeting.
Okay.
Staff and legal recommend identifying an alternate in order.
Gotcha.
Just with multiple, it's allowed to have multiple, but if all 3 went to the public meeting, we needed to designate who's the vote.
Right.
We get 1 vote, so if 1 or 2 or 3 showed up, we need to certify an order who gets the vote.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I would ask that we do identify.
Perfect. Sounds good. And I don't know if you had any feedback on that aspect of it, Dean, but Dean and I were going to recommend appointing John Bodema and Ryan Bodema to the as alternate commissioners. I think we have a really interesting opportunity. John obviously has a ton of experience with being on the watershed before.
And with everything he's done in his property, the watershed has come to him to talk about a lot of the stuff he's done. His background was that much. It was a good conversation.
Yep.
And again, no takeaway from the others, but
No. And I encourage the others, and everyone here tonight,
Yes,
which I appreciate coming out,
please
to stay involved, because
stay involved.
it's a really good problem for us to have too many interested people.
Yep.
So, thank you.
And if you wait 6 months, something else will open up.
Yes, and then the alternate being his son.
Yes. So that was my second point was,
His son is going to school for.
crazy, like, if you were to design a degree to do this professionally, it's seemingly what you would study. It's a very specific niche, conservation, soil, well, I can't remember the actual title of the degree, but it's very specific to this, and I feel like it gives it was interesting talking to Ryan and John, how they have very different, John's more of
Just
actual
do it
practical
and-
experience, do it, and Ryan
Ryan
more of the
argues with him
educational
and
background that he's getting on it.
has
I
some
think.
conversations, so.
So I think it'll be an interesting dynamic, and it could be something great long-term if, Ryan could get coached up and be there for a long time and have a really.
Both
interesting
able to make
background.
every meeting.
Yeah.
They were both very enthusiastic about it.
So, and I guess I would suggest maybe we start it with John as alternate, the first alternate, and Ryan as the second alternate, and we can, if that changes, it'd be easy enough to sort that out, I think, between the 2 of them to make that, if it was changed at the beginning of next year or whatever. So that would be our recommendation. Can I get, I'll entertain a motion then to make those appointments.
So moved.
Second.
Pick whoever you want, you get the first and
I
second.
think you seconded before I
Yeah.
moved.
Right, yes.
And I will, or all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Perfect. On to 9B, which is the City Council Labor Agreement Negotiation Liaisons. And Jay, did you have anything on this?
We need 1 for sure. Historically, we've had 2. And part of the delay, ideally, our negotiations would typically occur late spring, early summer. If you aren't aware, our officers elected to leave their previous representation, and there's a time frame that happened, and they went with new representation, so they're now with LELS.
Okay.
So we're working with them for the first time. But that has delayed our negotiations because they couldn't start that process until they were within a certain window of the end of the contract. Legally. And so this isn't where we would prefer to be, both in terms of the budget cycle, but also they're very happy with their choice. Also, I'm looking forward to good conversations. So we need one for sure, Mr. Mayor. Two is what we've had traditionally.
Sounds good. And just a question on that. So the current agreement goes technically through December 31st, but isn't there a provision if a new agreement isn't struck by then, it essentially extends?
We can extend it.
Okay.
How long?
I think it's
Yes.
Gotcha.
not spelled out, yeah.
I understand that.
But that would be the preference. We don't want our officers to be operating without a clear contract. If there's any confusion about the negative impact of that, I think we can look up and see how that's been impacting people for a while in
Yes.
positive ways.
Yeah. Sounds good. So regarding the negotiation team, I know, Mark, you said you're interested?
I am.
Gotcha. And you are as well?
I'd be interested too.
I'm in, whoever we choose.
Gotcha. I mean, I think you'd all be great. So John and I did it in the past two or at least the last one. So I think you'd all, I don't think.
Should it be you then?
I think
And
I
then
should be on it.
One other person?
That would be my preference. I think it makes sense to have some continuity between the two. But in terms of.
Another reason why it makes a lot of sense is in terms of the city's fiduciary responsibility, it's the mayor and I whose names are on the line as your representative. And so I think that's a helpful nuance.
Yeah, for sure. But in terms of how we want to determine, Jeremy?
I think we're all supportive generally of the law enforcement officers that we have. I don't think there's anybody who can go on who will prove destructive to the process.
I agree. And it's something that we all have to still review to approve.
Correct. So I don't think there's a bad choice to be made here. I would be a little concerned for Councilor Varencamp just because of family ties. Or is he no longer?
I don't have any family
No
ties.
longer?
Not a
Okay.
one.
Very good. Then I don't have any reservations.
So I don't know how the three of you want to like have an arm wrestling tournament here, or I think you'd all be great. I mean, you know, you have history obviously as in law enforcement.
Yeah, I was actually a union rep, and I negotiated for employment contracts with LELS.
Gotcha. Does that work? Is Mark as the other?
I'm a lot better looking than him, but I
That is
support
true.
Mark's
That is true.
nomination.
We can bring in pictures.
And December could be pretty busy for you.
That's a good point.
Do we need to make a motion?
It's all about
Yes.
priority.
Okay.
If we could get a motion on appointing Mark and myself as the labor agreement negotiation liaisons, that would be fine.
I will make a motion.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I will second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I feel like I didn't hear all.
Oh, I gotta say nay. I
Okay.
just
Opposed?
gotta oppose, just started,
Abstain, nay, we have three.
you got three,
One,
three's
one.
enough.
Yeah.
God, I haven't had to go through abstentions and that in over almost a year now.
Should we set up a pool for how often there'll be abstentions with the vote? in the watershed
No,
commission?
Absolutely not.
don't drag it out. Make it good, and I know you guys will.
All right, looking forward to that, and keep us posted when we think that will be. But as long as it's not in the next week, I will be back in town after a few days. And then on to item 10, which, yeah.
Yeah, so Mr. Mayor, I've been texting back and forth. I wasn't watching a game tonight. I was texting back and forth with our attorney because I had a question. I had not gotten the script beforehand and he wasn't able to be here tonight. So something that came up regarding the closed session is in terms of statutory justification. The only way that we could go forward to have a closed session on the Changemaker Award would be to share the names of everybody that we're going to talk about. I would prefer not to do that. And so the alternative that he had proposed was to decline to enter a closed session and instead, again, appoint a council subgroup of 2 people, and then following this, I could share it with you, and then we could get the information back if everybody was comfortable with those recommendations from council representatives. So that is the pivot, rather than closed session, would be for the council to identify 2 people for us to talk who would be the employee identified for the Changemaker Award 2025. The reason the timeline is important is because we have to get engravings and stuff done for our December holiday party that you're all invited to.
Which is 3rd?
December 3rd.
Yeah, you did.
Yep.
I just forgot to put it on the calendar.
So that's a pivot from what's on the agenda, and that would be the request, Mr.
Gotcha.
Mayor.
Is there interest in anyone serving on that? Volunteer.
I volunteer.
Okay. Do you 2 want to do it? Sure.
Sure.
That work for everyone else? That work?
Okay. So if you have a few minutes after this, if we could go into the conference room, and I can provide you the feedback on where we're at.
Perfect. That way everyone's been on something too here, bless. On some committee. Perfect. All right. Do we need a motion for that?
Yeah,
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I should probably abstain.
You don't have to.
I'm kidding, I say aye.
So many abstentions.
And with that, do we have any staff reports?
Just one, Mr. Mayor. I want to apologize, and this has been a request before, but I will do better. I received a presentation right before the council meeting. I will email those out in the future as soon as I get them, because I can understand how it's sometimes difficult to see the screen, but I want you to have the latest and greatest information. So you can trust that when I get them, I will email it out so that you've got it, so that if you prefer to look at it up close and personal rather than on the big screen. Part of the reason that we didn't include it in the packet is because they were continuing to update the information. We had meetings right before I left last Thursday about the public works component of it, and we wanted to make sure that it was the latest and greatest information with their analysis, and that has happened in other areas too in terms of financial analysis and other things. If we have presentations ahead of time, obviously we'll include them in the packet, and as we did for the other presentations, but I will forward those.
Thank you, Jay, I appreciate that. I find that the presentations, are more of a summary of what we're reading in the packet, and they're just super helpful to see, because it sparks other questions for me, and I just can't see it. So
I
thank
can't
you.
either. Yeah, I don't know.
And it's hard for me to send it from my computer when I'm presenting from my computer.
There's no way to share your computer with our tablet?
Not that I'm aware of.
We don't have that.
I've already got enough
We don't have
problems
that
with
IT capability?
We could log into the meeting.
I
Can
almost saw the
probably
smart
update
card for a
them
minute.
to iLegislate.
Are we still doing Zoom?
So I could update it to that. It was literally an email that I got, so I could forward the email to.
Deb.
I will make sure that you get it.
Do we publish Zoom
So I
still?
apologize that you didn't.
Sounds good. Any council reports? Mark?
Yeah, just 2 things. I'd like to know, what is the status with the abandoned electrical substation on
Yeah.
116? It was my understanding that that was being dismantled. It
This
doesn't
fall.
look like any of that has happened yet. And if there's resistance, I would like to know from the city attorney, how do I propose a fine for that unsightly property?
So like-
It's a nuisance property, in my opinion.
If I recall correctly, there was a term to take it down initially that was longer, but then they came to us like in the last year and said that it would be.
So I met with them in the spring, and that's when I provided the last update. And they, at that time, told me that they were going to start it October, November. So this is the window when it should be starting. I'll get an update to get clarification on the timeline. I haven't seen any activity there either. So I will check in with them and also check in with Mr. Thames to see if we have any recourse if they don't meet the timeline.
That'd be great to get that down.
If that ever happens again, I don't even know, with something else similar, can we put that within the agreement?
We
When it-
tried, and I think
when
we were
it-
told we couldn't.
Okay.
But that was a hot topic, how long is this thing going to stay up in this condition?
Yeah.
So to that point, I think that's a really helpful point in terms of what we have the authority to hold certain parties accountable to. Kevin and I have talked about this a lot. with some of our other partners in terms of franchise agreements. Councilmember Barenkamp has brought up some challenges that some of our residents have had with posts that are not, you know, a post came down or something like that, and we don't have the authority to touch it, and we don't have any real mechanisms to force them to do something about it. And so we're doing, part of the reason the franchise agreements are going back and forth because we're trying to ensure that we protect the city's interests to the degree that's most possible, and they're not appreciating some of that. Well, they don't want to be obligated to do things that they don't want to do. And for us, we don't want unsightly blighted.
They have removed the transformers and those kind of things, but the erector said, like Mark said, is an eyesore.
So I spoke to them on site the day that I think Chief Gottschalk and I were driving around and saw them that day, and I tried to talk. The guys on site didn't have any information, so that's when I reached out, and I actually talked to their engineer, Kurt. And he actually came in and sat down and talked with me, and I pressed because of the feedback that you provided for a commitment. And that's when I provided the update, but I haven't reached out to him recently, so I will.
Thank you. And I have one more thing too. We had talked about, I think you and I and Mr. Tobin spoke about a safety issue, and I'm not going to say what it is here publicly, but has there been any movement on that?
I have not been here, so I don't have a good update for you.
Okay. Do you know what I'm referring to?
I'm not positive right now because we talked about a lot of things at that time, so I don't.
It had to do with a window.
Oh, no, there hasn't been any movement on that.
Okay, is there something we can do to get that corrected?
I will dive into that next week. As I've been out,
Sure.
I don't think I even had conversations with our people about that. So that's on my fault. I left and I didn't follow through that. So thank you.
No worries. Thank you.
You're literally within a few hours of getting back.
Yeah.
Up to then.
Yep.
Okay.
Quick question, did
Yeah.
we get our microphones fixed?
So it was a levels issue.
Okay.
Yeah, so the issue is when the microphone stays on during the meeting and no one's using it, there's an interference, so that's why we're trying to turn it off when no one's speaking. So it's kind of fixed.
Thank you.
Aaron educated us.
I'd recommend those like hanging mics we have on the PD side when we get to a new building. They seem nice. Although I've heard they're now maybe outdated. Now there's like a new set, like one central one. And they'll probably be outdated by the time we pick that, but anyway.
It'll just access everyone's phones.
Yeah, exactly.
AI.
Yeah. Perfect. Fun. All right, and with that, we have upcoming schedule. We have a meeting, just a meeting, no work session, right, on the 25th?
I believe that's correct.
Double check that date, because I know that was specifically a point we were calling up for. Tuesday, the 25th. And then we have our last meeting of the year, December 11th. And then we'll be into 2026.
Christmas party on December 3rd.
And the holiday food and.
The food drive parade, all of the visits and stuff on the 10th,
10th.
Tuesday the 10th, with the 11th being the alternate.
Tuesday is the 9th.
Is it the 9th?
Tuesday the
Yeah,
9th
Tuesday the
then.
9th, with the
Alternate
backup
is
as
the 10th.
Alternate's
Wednesday the
10th.
with hopefully,
I'm kind of hoping for the alternate.
I'm kind of hoping not. I don't know if I can make that, and also I believe there's another conflict that maybe you and I should talk about potentially with the backup date after. So, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Adjourn.